rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Yes. Good morning, everybody. You are listening to and watching Good Morning, Aurora, a special edition. Bravo, says Addie Rubio. The time is now 9:12 a.m., and you are listening to and watching Good Morning, Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. And we have they say, great song. Victoria Halamananado is here. Have a seat right here, my dear brother, and let's bring it in. We have, ladies and gentlemen, live in studio, Corey O'Donnell. Thank you very much, sir, for having us. Let's get squared away, my man. Let's get squared away. Good to see you. To my place here. So, Ah. All right, guys, you're tuning in to a special show with a special guest. Good morning to you, my friend.
Good morning to you, my friend.
So, let us know who you are and where you're from.
My name is Corey O'Donnell. I grew up most of my childhood in the south suburbs of Flossmoor, Illinois, better known to most people as the community of Homewood, Flossmoor, which is the name of the high school in that area.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Familiar with that area. Volmer Road goes through there or about those parts.
Oh, absolutely it does. I've been up and down Volmer a billion times.
Yep. You recently played at Java Plus.
I did.
That was your most recent show, I believe. First of all, as a guitarist and as an artist, how long have you been an artist and playing music?
Well, I've been playing music since I was in fifth grade, actually. But in more recent years, since 1994, I remember it distinctly because I was a sophomore in college, and when I bought my first, and still to this day, only guitar.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Does your guitar have a name?
No, it actually does not. No, but I'm sure I could, if you gave me some time, I can think of a few pretty good ones.
Nice. And it's Saturday morning. I want to thank you very much for just coming in and talking to us and playing a little bit for us. What is your writing process?
Well, I've never been that much of a writer of music. I specifically remember I think I may have only written one full song, which was for my father, which was years ago. It was kind of like it was either a Christmas present or a birthday present, one of the two. You know, I wrote him a song, and honestly, it's been too many years. I don't even remember what my actual process was. And the only other thing that I've written lately is just something that I put together just impromptu, really, on piano, and I only started it. I never really finished it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now you grew up in Homewood, Flossmoor area. Where do you live now?
Now I'm in Naperville.
Okay. All right. And how often do you play? Do you go out very much? When's your next show?
Currently, my next show, actually official booked show, is a few months down the road. Because right now a lot of places are booked pretty solidly for at least the next 2 or 3 months. So, but I just booked a show for myself very recently, like within the last 24 hours, at a place in downtown Oswego. Actually, it's a brewing company in downtown Oswego.
Brother Chimp?
That's actually in North Aurora. The one I'm referring to it's a new location of, I should probably take back the part where I said brewing. It's more of, it's actually Fox Valley Winery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they have a new location right in downtown Oswego, right down the street from the library there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it's a wonderful, wonderful new location. It's very beautiful.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
So as a musician, the guitar is not the only instrument you play.
Correct.
What else do you play?
Well, my first and primary instrument, if we want to get really technical, is
Let's get technical.
cornet.
Okay.
Which is an instrument that was used very, very popularly in the 20s and 30s by one very well-known musician by the name of Louis Armstrong.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Louis Armstrong.
Yes. He had a band back then called he originally called it the Hot Fives, and then he added 2 more people later on, so then he called it the Hot Fives and the Hot Sevens or something like that. I don't know, but anyway, back then cornet was widely used in jazz. nowadays, well, we've progressed a lot since then, and nowadays the trumpet has actually become more of the staple instrument used in jazz. And when I was in 5th grade, at about 10 years old, that's when I started playing cornet. Then 4 years later, when I started high school, I got my first and only, by the way, to this day, trumpet. And so I started using the trumpet for jazz, but I continued to use the cornet for the symphonic band.
Interesting. Interesting. You express great elation when you talk about your instrument.
I do. Thank you very much. I try to be as well, I guess elated as possible. And if you would like to know more about the instruments that I play, it was also, I'm referring back to 1994 when I got my first guitar. That was also when I started learning how to play piano.
Yes, you did mention that. That's okay. All
Right.
right. Let's talk piano now.
Yeah, I was the way it became about was I was a music major in college, and every music major has to take at least 2 basic piano courses. So I took those 2 basic piano courses. Fortunately, passed them both, and from there, I never had really actual piano private lessons. Never. From the things that I learned in my 2 piano courses in college, I took that knowledge and I just applied it to the learning music that I already knew and loved, which would be kind of like, well, if you think about, 70s and 80s rock and pop, and you think piano, the 2 names that usually come to mind for most people are Billy Joel and Elton John. So it was then that I started learning how to play music by those guys, and to this day, I still the bulk of my shows when I go out to perform is usually material by those 2 gentlemen.
Okay, so learning those 2 great pianists is what propelled and created your skill and ability to play the piano.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. That takes a lot of dedication, about perhaps as much dedication as being classically trained on it and things.
Just about, because if you do a little bit of research into their music, like really get down into what kind of music they write, it's not exactly easy stuff to learn. No.
How so? What is? I mean, for those of us who don't play piano,
right?
How could?
Right. Yeah. Well, you have lots of different chord changes, and you have sometimes some very complicated chords in there that require at least the basic skills that I learned back in those 2 courses. That's where I learned all about chords, chord progressions, and if you have a good base knowledge of chords and chord progressions, you can easily apply that knowledge to learning music of Billy Joel or Elton John or Barry Manilow or pretty much any piano player out there whose music is well known in the styles of rock and pop.
Okay. What would you classify your style of music as?
Well, it really kind of depends on which instrument I'm playing. If I'm playing, piano, I'm usually playing rock and pop from the 70s and 80s. If I'm playing guitar, it could be pop and rock anywhere from the 60s through the 90s. The tune that I played earlier, Breakfast at Tiffany's, is from the 90s. But I also can play tunes that go back to the 60s that, you're talking about guys like, Van Morrison and Simon and Garfunkel. And then if you talk about the trumpet, then I can play a wide range of stuff. I can play classical, I can play jazz, I can play symphonic band stuff, which is, symphonic band, that's the context of a large group setting that I have the most experience with. The second greatest experience I have, a close second, would be jazz. So
Okay.
that's how you would sort of break it down, depending on the instrument that
and you and I talked before we started recording initially that that's your familiarity is with other players in a band setting.
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's talk about those bands. What bands were you a part of before going solo? Or doing solo work, and you still work with bands.
Right. I was mainly with. We're talking basically about school right now. So I symphonic band. I've been a part of symphonic band settings from grade school all the way up through college, and even beyond college too. One of my first jobs was way downstate Illinois, and while I was doing a job there, I was also involved with. I think a small jazz ensemble, as well as also I was in a choir setting as well. We did some excerpts of I think Handel's Messiah, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that was my first experience. Well, probably not my first experience in choir, but it could have been my first experience doing Handel's Messiah. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite an eye-opening experience it was.
Doesn't happen often, right?
Oh no, no, not at all. So since then, I've been actually, with performing. Performing has been a lot more of a recent thing for me. Really, it has, because for many years I wasn't really involved much in playing or performing. But within the last, I don't know, I'd say 5 to 10 years, I've been starting to learn who some of the local groups are around here, some of the local bands, and some of the local solo artists as well. And my goal is to, I love to collaborate. So wherever there's more opportunity for collaboration with either one other person or several other people, that's kind of where I'm most comfortable with.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Who have been some of your influences? And besides Billy Joel and Elton John, that's where you got your piano, learn piano from. Who else though? Who else has been or made an impression on you at the very least?
Yeah, well, I made I made a mention of a third piano player in there too, Mr. Barry Manilow. So when I was a very, very young child, my parents used to listen to Barry Manilow because I was a child in the '70s, and Barry Manilow, his heyday was the '70s. So they they would play his music, and somehow they played it so often. I just kind of it stuck in my head, and it stayed with me through until this very day. And having remembered all that music was one of my inspirations to learn his music. And so he'd be like the number 3 person on the list there for learning piano music. Other influences, going back to my days of childhood, there was a lot of great music in the '70s. So
yes,
to this day, I still have a very strong appreciation for groups that were big in the '70s, like the Eagles and Earth, Wind and Fire and Chicago. And the list goes on and on and on. Although in the '70s, obviously, because I was a child, I wasn't purchasing music, so I had to basically just go by whatever my parents had, So, but that was okay because it provided a good base of music for where I was going to go with that in my adulthood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do you define yourself as an artist, and what do you want your listeners to capture?
I want my listeners to capture the spirit of the music, I guess. I want them to capture the sound that is very memorable to people when they first heard the music such a long time ago. And I do that by learning the songs as well as I can on piano. But my greater strength is actually singing in the styles of certain artists. So, Billy Joel and Elton John, I can literally sing one of their songs to the point where if you're closing your eyes, you may or may not know if it's the real guy or if it's me. Yeah.
Right. The reason why I asked such a lofty question, which could give any range of an answer, is because kind of like how we were talking before, what is Good Morning Aurora about, right? I want my listeners, as I mentioned, I want them to enjoy life for that hour in the morning, to listen to something new, a new person doing this, a new store doing this, new, you never heard it before, you never seen it. That's the purpose of it. And I know that people, when they do create anything, whether it's art or music, they're doing it for a purpose. I was just trying to establish what that purpose. The time is now 9:29 a.m. Anna Sierra, good morning to you. Karina Suarez Darden, good morning. Victoria Halamandado, Aisha Saxon, all of you wonderful, beautiful people. Good to see you guys this morning.
Good morning to all of you out there.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. We have Corey O'Donnell here, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the claps for Corey. Yes.
Thank you.
We got a live audience.
Yay. Love live audiences.
All right. We're going to play you're gracing us with some music. We'll play an outro song here momentarily.
Sure.
But one of the things I'm interested to get from you is about technology and the social media of the day and its impact on music. Is it taking away from creativity, or is it adding to it?
Well, that's a very, very interesting question, and
I can flesh it a little bit more if need be.
Yeah.
So
maybe.
For example, we were, it used to be the big band.
Yes.
Everybody was playing the instrument. There's a guy on the cymbals. There's a drummer. There's a bassist. There's a pianist.
Yep.
Now, those are sounds that we can add that later.
Right. We can indeed. Yes. Well, I guess really it's a matter of convenience, I guess, for a lot of people, I suppose. If they don't have the means or the resources to have actual musicians provide those sounds, then they go with, they just buy whatever kind of technology they need in order to reproduce those sounds. The only problem is that it's never going to sound as unique as the real thing. So, they may be getting what they want, but they're still sort of missing that magical quality of making music and collaborating with other musicians. I think.
Speaking of other musicians, is there anyone that you've not yet worked with that you would like to work with?
Yes, I do have a friend who I met a couple of years ago who is a piano player and singer. Very, very talented young lady. She, I was actually supposed to do a show with her recently, but circumstances did not provide for that to happen. So I'm still looking forward to working with her because she has a lot to offer. She knows a lot of music. Very talented. Like I said, she's a great singer. So she brings a lot to the table. And one of these days in the near future, I am looking forward to working with her.
Okay.
She's originally from Germany, actually.
Right. Now, venues and locations. Anywhere that you'd like to, I'm sure you like to play anywhere that'll have you. But are there some key locations or venues that you're really interested in getting a chance to perform at and do your thing and be seen?
I would like to have more exposures, of course, to some of the more local coffee shops right here in downtown Aurora, and other coffee shops, because I know coffee shops are a pretty major thing. Because people everywhere enjoy coffee, they enjoy sitting down, and getting stuff done at the coffee shop, so they're there for a significant amount of time. I'd like to be there to provide a little bit of music while they sip their coffee or do their homework or work on their business stuff online or something like that.
Scroll Facebook, whatever it is.
Yep. So whatever they want to do. I would also like to have a chance to perform in more bigger, for lack of a better word, bigger places, I guess, more places that attract larger crowds as well. And I've done that before too. But I'd like to, like I said, I booked a show recently, but the show is not until March because they were pretty well booked for the next 2 or 3 months. The Fox Valley Winery, that'll be in March. So I would like to play in more of those types of places because I know, of course, you have your coffee drinkers, but you also have your wine drinkers and your beer drinkers too, and so breweries or wineries would be other places that I would like to perform in and be able to play my music for them as well.
Karina LaFontaine, good morning, dear friend. Good to see you. Karina Suarez Darden, what is up? One more time. Now, how can people find you and contact you?
Well, they can certainly find me through my Facebook page, of which I do have one that is dedicated entirely to music. I also have a website that's also dedicated to my music. So if you just do a Google search of my name, you'll find my artist page there. And if you go to my website, which is CoreyO'Donnell.live, you can find some good stuff about me there too.
Right. All right. Now you will be playing us an outro song, my good man.
Yes, sir.
And we're gonna showcase you doing that. You have a lovely guitar, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Lovely guitar.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for a little bit more music here.
Haven't heard that in a while. Here we go. Hey, where did we go? Days when the rains came down in the hollow, playing a new game, laughing and running, hey, hey, skipping and jumping in the misty morning fall with us. My heart's thumping and you, my brown-eyed girl. Girl, whatever happened to Tuesday is so slow, going down the old mine with a transistor radio, standing in the sunlight laughing, hide behind a rainbow's wall, slipping and sliding all along the waterfall with you. Brown-eyed girl, you're my brown-eyed girl. Do you remember when we used to sing sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-da, just like that, sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-da, la-dee-da. Just the other other day. My, but you have grown. Cast my memory back then, Lord. Sometimes I've overcome thinking about making love in the green grass behind the stadium with you, my brown-eyed girl. You're my brown-eyed girl. Do you remember when we used to sing sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-da? Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-da. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-da. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-da. La-dee-da.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the clap. Thank you for the clap. It's very good to have Mr. O'Donnell on the show today. Corey, can you give us an outro message? The show ends on a positive note.
My message is keep music alive by supporting live music, supporting your local musicians, because believe it or not, they really do truly appreciate it, including myself. On behalf of them, I thank you.
Morning Aurora is proud to have had Mr. O'Donnell on the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. And now you can have the rest of your Saturday back. As we always tell you, take care of yourself and each